All right, Joe, here is a quick video of the slides. And the reason I'm doing a video is because we also figured out an option that I think will be helpful for having demos ready in time for your sales meeting. Well, I just think it's going to take more time than a month to try to get, and really we have less than a month at this point to get the demo fully set up. We're still going to shoot for that, of course, but just in case we wanted to have a backup plan. And so that's what this slide deck represents. It's got the slides the core slides that you asked for, but it also has some demo slides that I think will show well enough to give a sense of what the solution, how the solution works, et cetera, and we can talk about it and tweak it as needed. But so let's dive in. So smarter solutions enhancing S2K. Now, I don't know if you want these introductory slide like that, but I've got it in here just for the sake of doing a more formal presentation. I think it looks nicer. So, all right, so let's jump in. So the first thing we're starting out with is a little profile page, because you did mention that you like to talk about your partners. And I didn't know if you wanted to have a slide for it, but I figured for now it's probably better to have the slide there. You could always ignore it out of what gets shown, right? Like silence the slide, and you'd still be able to see it for reference. So I wanted to include it here. So basically it covers the things that we typically go through. The next page here is a document management and retrieval overview. So reduced physical storage space, environmental sustainability, improved accuracy and data quality, enhanced searchability, accessibility, and improved data security and risk management. Now, this slide, I could see you may end up getting rid of this. It's a light overview, so it doesn't feel like too much at once, but you already have a lot of slides, so I get it. If one of them's got to go, I won't be surprised if you need to suppress this one. The next is basically a deep dive into those, and this is where we're looking to try to have a few slides. This is one of the slides I figure you're probably going to want to hang on to. On the left, I have some images kind of highlighting the key concepts around the process. So there's a scan image of a physical device ready to do scanning. The auto index, which is a piece that we think is worth touching on, where we talk about why our scanning process is different and better than what most people do with manual indexing. Then the third one is searching for documents, which is the more advanced search view, but we're going to show both. Then the retrieve, which is the resulting document that you get back. On the right-hand side, we're diving into a little bit more detail about how reducing physical storage space helps to save overall floor space. Removing file cabinets, you actually gain back real estate, which can have a meaningful dollar impact for clients, depending on how many cabinets we end up removing from a scenario or removing the need for. Then environmental sustainability, when you start removing the need for this paper, you're reducing a lot of things. Digital storage helps to decrease the use of paper, ink, energy, etc. So all those key things that you're probably going to want to touch on when you talk about storage and retrieval. Then improved accuracy and data quality. This piece is specifically focused on the OCR tied with validation and database lookups. It's not just trying to do extraction. We feel like, you think about doing extractions and it's only as accurate as the data that you can get. So how good was that document? Did it get run over? Was it, is it wet? Is it torn? Part of the document's missing, right? Whereas if we tie to as little data on the document as possible and pull as much as possible from the database, we generally get the best result. And that's one of the key things we like to focus on. Then enhanced searchability and accessibility. That's obviously the search piece. We're talking about digital documents that can be found and then the accessed and retrieved individually or as bundles. And we can talk more about the bundles, but you could think of several scenarios, something along the lines of proof of delivery tied with invoicing, so that when you send the invoice, you also send with it the proof of delivery. That might be a bundle, as an example. You might also imagine an AP packet as a bundle. Then improved data security. So this is around access. Digital documents are being securely stored. Access controls limit who can view those. Now you may be thinking around the access controls you'd already have through direct integration when someone's looking for documents in your system. That's a great example, but we're also referring to if someone goes directly to the document management system to do a broader search, they have the same levels of control in those scenarios. Then the last one is risk management. And this is where we think about acting as a digital backup for documents that we have, that we can control where those get saved, potentially push them out as backups to other areas. And that can be important for a lot of reasons. You think about ransomware, right? Somebody loses access to an entire section of their network for some reason, or a device on their network. Or perhaps you're thinking about weather things, water leaks. I've had clients that literally lost servers because of water leaks, and they luckily, if they either had a backup or they didn't, it could be a big deal. So that's certainly an important topic as well. So jumping from there, we go straight into showing what this solution really looks like. And this is what's different. So I created some slides because we talked several times about how my guys don't have scanners with them, right? So let's look at what this process looks like, but we're going to do it through PowerPoint. So with a scanner, you of course, you would load a document onto the device. And then our system, the desktop capture, would be pulled up. And you've got a list of documents here that you can pick. For the demo, in this case, it doesn't really matter. In a real demo, once it's fully set up, it will, of course, matter what you choose. And in reality, you'd probably choose maybe driver's manifest for the example I have here. But this is based off of some slides that I had prepared, and so I've got allowance selected. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of the demo. But you'd select the document type that you plan to use. And then once that loads, it's going to ask you to hit the scan button. So you tell it you want to start the scanner, and we're directly connected with desktop scanners. You can do this with multifunction devices, but we find that desktop scanners end up being a better option for most clients. A lot less getting up and getting down, coffee breaks, that sort of thing. So our clients tend to be more productive with these. So click on this here. A pop-up gives you the ability to change some settings if needed. Most people don't. They go with the defaults. Clicking go pulls that through the scanner. The next thing that happens is the document's going to change, and I'm just advancing through clicks here. It's going to load the image in, and we'll see here that we've already got some data extracted. So let's talk a bit about this. As we click on it, we're loading some additional information so that the team who's describing what happens in the software also has some guidance to hit the key points. The OCR field. So this first one is a value that we would potentially pull directly from the device, from the paper, sorry. So this document here is an invoice key that we're extracting. You can see that's actually this top line right here on the invoice list. And then below that, you can see the extracted values. This is all coming from a connection directly to the database. So this right here is pulling in the information. You can see we've got Tasty Client and Tasty Client down here. And in this case, we tend to use Tasty Foods as the organization that's processing their documents in terms of demos. We can call it whatever you want, but that's one that we use a lot. So in this case, we've got the extracted data here. The next thing you see is over here on the right, I had this hidden. There's some key things that are happening. When we bring in these documents, we're recognizing them as separate documents. You can see it says page 1 on each of these. That's based on rules. And then it's telling you these green arrows are showing you there's every one of these documents was fully extracted. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 documents that were fully extracted, and then one that had an issue. And this is the red box is indicating that there was something happened with the indexing efforts. One of the required fields is maybe empty or something like that. So it's giving you some additional abilities. Now we're not diving into that detail right here. We're trying to keep it moving for the sake of a quick demo. And if they want to see something more specific, we can set up a more full-featured demo, right? But for now, to give your sales team an idea of what the system does and how it works, this is the way that we're approaching it. If you clicked on any of these, it would give you the same screen with a different page and different index values. That's the only thing that would change here. Then the next thing we would do is hit submit over here. Green arrow to help us remember to do that. The submission then pulls up the process page, and this would show everything that was processed through. Now let's look in S2K to see where our documents are stored. And I think this is maybe the biggest piece that we've talked about. I took some of the images that we pulled out of your demo system when you and I met previously. And we talked about how to get to these views. And technically, you can click anywhere just in case I'm not clicking in the right place. But I thought that these things were blue because they were links. So I was pretty sure that if I click here, this is supposed to act as a link to open up order detail. So when I click on this, that's exactly what happens. I now see order detail page that's opened, and I can click on the action item here to load the menu. This is actually what we have in our images. So I just put it together in a way to demonstrate, to show the way your system is meant to behave. Now we talked about paperclips, but we also talked about the fact that the action button is actually the menu that changes. Like sometimes we looked at this and all it showed was view. Other times it showed more things. For the sake of our demo, I'm just having it show view, edit, and search. I'm going to click on view. And I have to do that in order because that's the way the demo is set up, and it jumps directly into the HTML or the browser view of the document. So it's a direct link to view that document. Now let's go back. Again, I could really click anywhere. I'm controlling the way this looks based off of the clicks and then triggering another PowerPoint action. So in here this time, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to choose search. Now again, I'm controlling that by order. So now you can see it's opened up an actual search page. Now from here, we can demonstrate what a deeper dive might look like. So you know what, I want to search for more than just the other piece. So maybe I want to type in Tyson Foods here and search for something, search for a specific document. You can see I've got Tyson Foods Inc. is smart loading underneath that. I pull that up and I get all the Tyson Foods documents. If I click on one of these, I can hit the back arrow to jump back into the view. Now I've taken a different path to get to basically the same document, right? And if I wanted to, we could, obviously when the full demo is set up, you'd be able to click on any of those documents. For now, it's basically trying to load like the top document. So let's go back. Again, kind of really clicking anywhere, but trying to follow through the mock-up. That's the first part of the demo about how the search and retrieval works, because we're showing that you can search for documents directly from your system, and then we're showing that you can do a search by jumping out of your system to do a more full-featured search. The next thing is this email capability. Let's say somebody wants us to send them some documents. I have this set so that if I click on these, it looks like I'm interacting directly with this, and then I hit the email button, and it's loading an email with the two documents attached. And if I click here, I start filling out the information that needs to be filled to be able to send this to someone, to some user at our company that's interested in these documents. We tell them we're sending their invoices, put a message in here, and click send. And that jumps us out of here. And that's the end of the demonstration portion. The next is the SMRTR AP reconciliation and approval. Effectively, this is an overview, right? Try to keep it short and sweet. On the right-hand side, we've got a diagram showing essentially the same information that's on the left, but it's graphical. Another great reminder, and hopefully it's eye-catching. We tried to pick something nice. Now, on the left-hand side, the key details. So SMRTR AP Reconciliation is a SaaS-based invoice processing solution for invoice capture, extraction, validation, and approvals, right? It's an overview. Then diving into the details, input monitors can handle physical scans, email, file monitoring. Can dig a little deeper there if you needed to. The validation is leveraging a direct integration to S2K data with adaptive machine learning. So the system actually gets smarter as you use it. Then three-way matching on vendor invoices. There's more types of matching, but that's the most complicated, which is why we mentioned that. It can be dialed back because sometimes clients receive in eaches and then they're invoiced in cases. And so you may not want to match on every detail there. You may want to just match on line item values and things like that. Then the general ledger coding for expense invoices is also critical as a part of that process. In addition to this, there's built-in workflow options for routing through exception handling for approvals. That includes different kinds of approval paths. Like linear is straight through to maybe multiple people, but it just goes from one to the next. It can't go different directions. Single point, parallel, where more than one person needs to process. Automatic, which is where it's really maybe it's skipping an approval process. That's where you have a small invoice that fully checks out. Nobody really needs to look at it. Just get it through to the payment process so you can get your discounts, right? So that's the last one there, the automatic piece. Then the last few bits here are invoices are automatically archived to the content management system that we just went through a demo of. And then the final approved invoice data is directly posted back to create a batch that's within the VAI system so that the team who's doing the accounting can go back and take one last look at it before they issue actual payment, right? That'd be a part of their normal process, and we're feeding back into that batch so it's ready for review. Then the dashboard and analytics. So there's some pretty cool things that the clients can dig into. if they want from a managerial perspective, they can look in and see what's our workload like, what's the volume like, what's the automation efficiency. We can see how long things are taking. You can even score vendors and potentially look at your team and see who's maybe the most efficient and look into why is it that they're efficient, what are they doing. So there's some pretty cool things that come from the dashboard analytics as well. So if you have additional questions about that, by all means, let me know. That is the last slide. So there's a closing slide here. Maybe keep it, maybe don't. Obviously, depends on what you want. I know you're trying to keep your slide count down. So that's an overview of the slide deck for the AP automation. The next thing I wanted to add in here, you had asked for an overview for your project director. So I have a slide deck here that we can share. I will just do it as a slideshow. This is essentially the same one that we showed you, but I did make a couple tweaks to help improve it a bit if you would like a copy of this one. If you're fine with the other one, then no worries. I'll probably just send you both whenever you're ready, and you let me know if you what you prefer. So this has basically the same content that we talked about before. So we can see we've got our overview statements, some of the people that we work with, and I think you all work with at least a few of them as well. Then the features and benefits, the key areas that we focus on bringing solutions. Then the key business process solutions, which is smarter capture, CMS, forms design, AP automation, and compliance. Tried to roughly follow the order that we talk about in the other presentations. So then the AP automation integration slide is still here. I don't know if you need that, so let me know. I can remove it if you do want this slide deck. Then a couple shots of the solutions that we talk about, where proof of delivery reconciliation, where you have your current proof of delivery process, but maybe they want some kind of reconciliation around that. I think you said yours already has that, but if you needed something with it, that's an area we could help. Then the CMS retrieval, some overview slides showing search, retrieval, and as well as the email. Then the smarter AP reconciliation slide. This is basically like that last slide that I had in the other, but it's in this deck. And then an overview of the general architecture. So let me know if you want this slide deck as well, and I can get that over to you. All right, I hope you have safe travels, and I look forward to hearing back from you, Joe. Let's talk soon.